Here's a little story that must be told.
And it goes a little something like this.
See? You got it.
Here we go again, back in SD studio with the custodian. Peace to New Name Society. Them MCs, mad variety. We got those producers. We got those fellas artists. Don't let us start this. Back in Brick City again with the custodian. Getting my grizzly on. You hearing the voice of that kid putting it down once again. I don't know why she hates me. I don't know why she hates me. But we still gonna get it to them. And make their ears bleed. It's what they
All right. Still, whatever time it is, as you are now listening to this, for my guest and I, it's almost 7:30 on a Tuesday night. You are now listening to Gospel Girl Monique Nicole J, the My Narrative podcast. Everyone has a narrative, a spoken or written account on their life story, a story that is worth listening to, a story only you can tell. See, I love getting to know people, hearing their life story, because I want people to reach purpose in the time where a lot of us have lost hope and purpose. This podcast is to be a safe haven for the narrator to open up their heart, because everyone needs someone to talk to. And for the listeners, it's an opportunity to gain a new understanding, to be inspired to reach purpose as well. If for one thing, this podcast is for the enjoyment of storytelling. So let the truth be told. This is my narrative. I'm in the company of tonight's narrator, the lovely spirit and beautiful heart Saria, who has kindly agreed to share a few defining moments in her life that shaped her narrative. So, getting started into this, Saria, how was your day?
My day's been good. Just really been in a good space lately, so I think days are getting better and better for me. I don't have any complaints.
Okay, that's good. That's good. It was a work day. It was a pick up the kids day, and that your normal Tuesday routine for you.
Yes, it never stops. Those day-to-day routines outside of, the things that you deal with outside of being and fulfilling different roles, it never stops. Like, you got to keep rolling with the punches, rain or shine. So, yes, it was always one of those days dropping the kids off and then going straight to work and picking them up right after work and coming home, doing homework and that such thing.
That mom life.
Yes, to the T, girl. Literally walk around them.
Oh. So what I want to ask you, I ask everyone, so what are some common assumptions that people make when they first meet you?
That I appear to handle the stuff that I go through well, but it really is a battle. It's just one that I don't show that side, but it is one that is hard and it's with self, and it takes a lot of discipline and just kind of like making a choice every day, not just like one time you make this choice to become or evolve or make different decisions to get different results. Is something that you do daily, sometimes moment to moment, depending on the situations you're dealing with, to kind of have this new mindset so you can kind of embrace something different. So I would definitely say that's the misconception about me when people first see me.
That when people meet you, most people are like, wow, like I would never think you were going through or you handle what you're going through so well kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, even if they know I'm going through it, it's kind of like, oh, you're handling it pretty well, but the whole time it's like not knowing I probably had 10 mini heart attacks somewhere in between, to myself, really just coaching myself through it and not really taking the situation personal, but kind of looking at what is it trying to teach me, what is it trying to instill in me, what characteristics can develop in me from these things. So having that type of mindset really has helped me.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And I guess I should preference how I know you and why I really wanted to interview you. And we met through a mutual friend, and we all do a prayer call. And the first time I got to speak to Saria, like my spirit was so just lifted, and it felt that connection spiritually, but not just spiritually, through my soul, in the sense of a lot of the things that I've been through in my life. And we come from the same area, but somehow never, bumped into each other. But I just love the way you speak about the world, about the word, and just your passion for living the best life that you can. And I just really wanted to, I felt like the way you moved me in sharing part of your life and just how we just talk on an everyday basis would be awesome for other people to hear it, definitely other people to hear it who may have a relatable story, and they may be at the point that you passed and would, just want to know that there's a way of getting through it. And we're not the only ones that are like you said, that assumption of I'm smiling, kids are fed, and all of that, even though deep down inside, I could feel like I'm falling apart. So I really wanted to, one, I just love having conversation with you. And two, I believe that you have a way of using your voice that can just really uplift a spirit. So going into that, I've known you for not that long. So I want to know, how many people really, really know you?
Oh my gosh.
That's the one right there.
I know, right? It's a simple question, but it's not. It's really not. Because I'm at a different place right now where I would say they know what makes me, but they don't know probably who I am in this. But they know characteristics of me. They know I'm caring. They know I'm loving. They know I'm loyal. They know I will give my last. They know I'm not judgmental. They know I'm transparent. Those are the things that make me who I am. But people who really know me, I don't know, because I don't even know me right now. If I could be totally honest, I'm in a space where it's like evolved from the old, but I haven't gotten to all the way to where I'm supposed to be. But it's a lot of growth. So I will say that my family probably knows me the best, because everything I do comes back to them. They are the driving force. They are the why, is my family. When it comes down to why I'm so motivated to do things different, why I make the choices I make, why I make it a priority to respond to things different, not so much just say these things, but to actually live it out, because we can say things till we're blue in the face, but we bring them to life. We bring the words to life through our actions. So it's just a priority to me, for my family, to see not only what I say, but to see me live it out, because they will then be able to feel like, well, if I see her doing it, then hey, maybe I can do it too, versus, well, she's just saying it, but I don't even see her doing it. So how can I really even know if this is something real or not, if I don't even see her applying it, type thing? So I would definitely say family right now, because they are the core.
Right. And would it be like you have close and extended, like your, parents, the siblings, plus cousins and aunts and things like that, or is it like selective?
I would definitely say 90% of my family isn't even like blood related. I didn't grow up really with my mom or dad. I grew up with my mom's sister, who is my blood aunt, and her best friend and her kids. So I would definitely say extended, not even so much blood related, because sometimes you find yourself in a place where you can kind of identify better with people who aren't necessarily blood related versus the people who are blood related. You can find yourself in some awkward spaces with people who's supposed to be family, if I can be honest.
Oh, yes. That is very agreeable on that. We can't choose the blood type, but we can choose who we call family.
Absolutely.
Because it is not always that way.
Exactly. I'm sure you can identify, because we all have, I'm sure, those stories where it's just like, it hurts extra because it's like you're supposed to be my family. Like, it's like that unspoken rule, like, we're supposed to always have each other back, and I would never think that you would do this to me or, say that to me or treat me this way. So, yeah, I've definitely been there, done that.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here. I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that was my phone or...
No, that was my house phone, but I just gave it to somebody else.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we got family that's been created through life experience and the spirit of the people who know you. So the assumption of you of being handling everything well with what you're going through, do you agree with it? Is that like, is that a narrative that you feel like you're okay with? And do you agree with it?
I will only say yes because that's the choice that I make, because that's the choice we all have. Like, it's not like I have a special power. That's the only reason why I agree with it, because it's not like people are holding me higher than what they go through. It's just a difference of, okay, I can still be going through what you're going through and all hell can be breaking loose, but it's the way I contain the peace, because I'm not going by my situation. My situation goes by me. So I would say, yes, I can own that, but only because that's the choice that I make and that they see that as a result of that being the choice I make through the things I go through.
Mm-hmm. And as you were saying that, you're in a new, some people say season, transition in your life to where it's been a lot of growth and you're far from where you used to be, but you're still kind of feeling like the old you is not that far behind. So how long have you been in this new season, this new transition in your life?
I would say it will be a year next month. Well, it's been a year since I left, and that's when the transition started. I left physically from the state I was in and the situation I was in. And it will make a year in October that I left physically, but January, since I've been in this place where I was supposed to be in January. So it's still fresh, because a year to me is still very, very fresh versus the basically 9.5, 10 years I just spent.
Right, compared to the 9 or 10 years. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a year is nothing compared to.
No, exactly. So when you say, still fighting that old, and so, yes, totally, because it is still fresh. And some days you feel the tug of war from the old and the new, and the old sometimes want to make you feel a certain type of way that the new might get intimidated by, that you really got to reaffirm and let the old know, like, no, I've already, suffered the consequences. I've already made my peace. I've already been forgiven, and you're not going to hold that over me anymore. I'm not going to walk in that bondage anymore.
Okay, hold for 1 second. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that the recorder was on. So you made the life change and you moved out of the state you were in to where you are currently right now. But do you really think that it started then? Or do you think that the transition was happening even before then?
You just know what to ask. Okay, I just love it. Okay. Definitely. Because I definitely thought about that in the last question you just asked. But yes, the transition started before then, because you have to be mentally prepared to go where you're going before you even physically get there. So I was mentally prepared. I had a lot of conversations. I had a lot of breaking. I had a lot of scary moments. I had a lot of back and forth. I had a lot of angry moments. I had a lot of all these years and I get to walk away with nothing moments. Like, I had a lot of time where I had to be prepared and broke down to nothing in order for me to be like, I know what's coming from this at this point because I've done it. I've been here in this place for so long. And I'll bet everything I got left on the unknown versus to keep going through this. And once I made that up in my mind, I know you're probably expecting me to say it's just like, oh, it was like everything just fell in place, but all hell broke loose. Once I made that choice that I didn't want the familiar, I didn't want the everyday, I didn't want the stagnant stuff and what was predictable, I wanted the more, because I seen my life as if I was settling, and I knew I was settling if I continued to live the life I was living, and I couldn't be mad at no one else but me, because that wasn't the life meant for me, but if I wanted to settle for that, I could. So once I made up the mind that I didn't want to live the life I settled for, I wanted to live the life I was destined for and created to live, all hell broke loose, and I just went with it. I went with it, and I allowed that process to make me.
Mm. And I want to ask a question, but she said something that made something else come to my mind on that you don't want to say, like, it clicked, and then everything just started falling into place, that it was actually the opposite. It clicked, and that you knew it was not going to be easy to do what you needed to do. And my mom will always say that moment when you've had enough, it's going to be the smallest thing that will happen or that a person will do to make you say that's enough. Like, for example, I was in a relationship and we just kept repeating the same cycle every year. Every year I broke up with him, and then he would get it together for a couple months, and then it would go back to how it used to be. And this one time we were talking, and I'm like doing all this stuff, looking for places and just trying to get us together. And he's just like, whatever you want to do. Like, it really didn't even matter to him what happened to us, what was going, all the responsibility was on me.
Wow.
And we had it was the smallest argument, but it was an argument that we had the whole relationship, this one little thing. And then I looked at him like, he is never going to let me in. It clicked. It was the simplest thing compared to all the stuff we were going through.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuck with me on how my mom would say that. And I've experienced in friendships and different relationships that it would be that one small thing that somebody would do. that would just make me go, that's it. Like, I'm not going to keep doing this. And do you feel like it was a small thing that changed you? Like, it could have just been you woke up late for work, like just something that was little that made you say, I'm not settling anymore? Or was it like a huge thing that clicked for you? Because there's always that side too of somebody going through something traumatic that, you know, makes it click for them. So I'm just curious too, from you saying that, because once I broke up with him, it just like my life just went downhill from there, like trying to get out of that. So that's why what you said came to my mind. But let me back it up and then make that question more simple. Was it a small thing or a huge thing that made you make that decision that I refuse to continue to settle?
It was a series of small things that I ignored that had to be made into something major in order for me to leave. Because that's the type of person I am. I am the type of person who will get warning after warning after warning and still find a reason to still stay. That's who I was. That was the broken part of me. The broken part of me that knew someone else was broken but wanted to fix them, but not understanding that I have to fix myself. And they have to be in a place and willing to want to fix themselves. I can't just go around thinking that I have all of these magic powers and capabilities because I love so deeply that I just want to go around fixing everything. And I'm walking around broken myself. That took me years just to not be scared of myself. I wish I could say most of this story is someone else I can blame. And yeah, I have been, and you know, I was in an abusive relationship. I've been in relationships most of, you know, my life that were not healthy at all. They were physically, mentally, emotionally abusive. I really didn't have my mom or dad there in my life, so I just always spent my time looking for this validation and this love that no human has even the capability to even give to me, because at the end of the day, we're all human anyway, so we're going to fall short. So to even hold anyone to a standard of thinking realistically that they will never do anything to hurt you is just, that's not even realistic. But I will say that once I dealt with self, once I stopped running for myself and stopped putting my happiness into things that will be here today and going tomorrow when they felt like it, cars, houses, money, jobs, men, because I'm going to keep saying that was my thing. Like, if I could just be honest, I always put my everything into my relationships, everything. And, you know, God is a jealous God, and I'm going to keep saying that because that's what saved me, and he is. So to put all of that into a person, period, it's never going to work because that's what I'm supposed to be giving him. So once those series of small events happened and I still made a choice to ignore them, the violence, the abuse escalated to a point where it was detrimental. It was like life or death. It was major. It was like you can stay here and die or you can leave and live. And that's what it came to.
Those series of things, we get those warnings, and some people may think that but some people may react, but they may not take as many warnings. But we all definitely get those signs where we know that we know that we know. And even so, sometimes we know that something is wrong for us. Wrong may be familiar. Wrong may be what we know and may be what we're comfortable with. And being human, you're going to go with what you know and what you're comfortable with. So we find ourselves in situations that we knew weren't best for us, but what's not best for us may be all that we know, like in your life experience of not having your parents being there and looking for that intimate relationship. And I said on one of the interviews that I had and maybe you agree with this or, can attest to it on that my relationship with God, no, let me back that up. The relationships that I was in with men really reflected my relationship with God. And when I thought I had it all figured out and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, and I strayed away, it reflected in those relationships. To where, like you said, once you got out of it and you realize you're not blaming everybody else. Like, you can't hold yourself accountable for decisions that other people made, but you're taking accountability for how you got into relationships with certain people. But that you got that time for self, and that time with self gives you that time with God that a lot of people may think is easy, and it is not. It gets really, really real when it's just you and God focusing on your life. When you allow Him to love on you, it is really not easy at all. And, I'm glad to hear that you made that choice to do that for yourself, because we know how so many people have a hard time to do so, to make that choice. And being that you did, I don't mean to cut you off. It was something that you wanted to add or say.
No, I'm just agreeing with what you're saying. Like, and I can understand why it's hard. And my situation was hard financially. Like, I have 3 kids, really no family support, really couldn't get a good job. I'm looking at God like, all right, you telling me to leave, and that's all fine and good, but what are we about to do about me, these 3 kids, no job? I don't know where I'm about to live at this point, no real money coming in. Like, I'm looking at all the odds are against me, and you're telling me to leave, and then I'm looking at all the reasons why I even stay is because all of these things are being provided for me. But then again, it's just like, it doesn't matter because I was literally dying. So yeah, my needs, my physical needs are being met, but they saying that you need to survive, but I was still dying internally, emotionally, so it really didn't matter. So once again, I just had to have faith and get to that point where, again, I knew that if I was willing to make that type of sacrifice, that God was willing to meet me on the other end, because He knew that I was literally walking away with nothing, but also that I trusted Him enough to know that even in me walking away with nothing, He was going to provide for me every step of the way, in which He did, and He does.
Yes, amen to that. The things that this year I'm so excited for everything I'm going to lose because of everything that I'm going to gain with always being led by God in the things that I do. And so I want to ask you, do you feel that at this point in your life that you know what your purpose is?
Oh, you're asking me that?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were telling me somebody asked you that. You was about to tell me. I would just say yes and no. Right now, I just feel like everything that I go through and that I will continue to go through, it is definitely for me to be transparent enough to go back and pick somebody else up. Every time I feel something, every time I cry certain tears, every time I have to feel alone or afraid, every time I feel like I'm neglected, every time I feel like nobody understands, I understand that I'm feeling those type of ways and I'm going through those things for somebody else. And it is my job to make sure I don't leave no one there. That's what I feel like my purpose is.
Mm. And you definitely do. You definitely do, especially with us, with me and, the other women that are on the prayer calls. You definitely are very transparent. and allow yourself to be used through your stories and testimonies and where you are in your life right now to be a blessing to somebody else. Because anybody who is living a life and they don't think that they're really going through anything, they don't have things in their life that they might not want to share with other people that make them feel vulnerable and challenged and tested. It's a really boring life, or you're living in denial, because we all have some things that we really don't, that is not that easy to share with people, or that's really just testing us and really trying us just to get us to a better place and be stronger and put our faith in who God is and what He has planned for us.
Yes, and I would just say that for the longest, I'm not going, why neither, let's just not get in this, and just say neither. I'm not saying serving God and including God in your life is not the traditional meaning of God, what you see on TV or what they tell you to do, and you got to go there religiously and you stay there and you look a certain way and then do things. It's not about that. Having a relationship with God and showing, God in you is just the way you carry yourself, how you interact with people, how you treat people. It's just the simple things that I think people miss because we be so busy trying to look at the big things that we are missing it with people. People just want love. That's what it comes down to. We all want to feel genuine love, and we lack that. We don't show each other no type of love whatsoever. So that's why I say when I include God in my everyday life and in my walks and the things I go through, that is love. I love myself. I am at peace with myself. I conduct myself in a way that when I go to sleep at night, that I'm happy. I know I handle my situations to the best of my ability, that He will want me to, or that He will be proud of. I responded in a way that He will be proud of. I'm not saying I'm not human, or not saying I don't have moments where I want to snack or I want to tell somebody off because I'm not perfect, but that's the purpose of me believing in Him and allowing Him to come into my life, so where I fall short, He can make up the difference. So I don't want no one to get it misconstrued to think that, when I say God, I'm perfect and I'm sitting on the right hand of the Father, because I'm not. I am imperfect, and that's why I need Him.
Yes, definitely. And I love that you brought up love, because everybody does want it, whether they might want to act like they don't want it or not. And with that, along with love and just growth, there are two very great things that we can experience in life is there's also healing, and that's not easy. Healing is very, very difficult. Allowing yourself to heal is very, very difficult, and that's kind of the season that I've been in this year, I would say, really understanding what healing is, because I was like, I'm good. I'm not hurt. I'm over it, whatever it may have been. And I was so hurt. And knowing that I could see the things that I wanted in my life, or that I know God would not want me to live a life of being hurt and acting like I'm not, and wanting to live abundantly, that I had to heal. I had to really be open to healing. So just like you said, it's not all this once you become a believer, or not even once you become a believer, but when you start really taking your relationship with God seriously, that it means like you are just the perfect person now, that it's not, you're righteous because of Him in you, and what that means, and shutting off the old you, and that is a huge process. It's a lifetime process. It's not something that definitely happens overnight, but we definitely have come far. A year is not long, but I'm definitely much farther than I was a year ago, and I'm sure you are
Absolutely.
as well.
Absolutely. You can say that again. You got to celebrate the small victories, you know. I said it before, you know, on the prayer call with us, because I'm always an overthinker. I'm always thinking about what's next or where I'm going to be a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now, five years from now. But it's very seldom we just take a moment to appreciate where we are, like right now, because it is definitely things to celebrate in the right now things and the in-between spaces while we are still trying and working towards the things that we want to have in our future. There's things that we gain, whether it be discipline or trust or extending love or, you know, breaking barriers or carrying out things that we started maybe years ago that we never thought we would finish and that we're finally completing now. Like, success
Amen to that.
is, you know, it's still accomplishments and they should still be celebrated, whether they were supposed to happen to you years ago, whether they're just starting to really prosper now. You should still celebrate them and build yourself up so that way, you know, you could just don't limit yourself. You know, we are our worst critic, I feel like, too. You got to really give yourself props where they're due to really affirmate and reaffirm to yourself that, you know, the best is yet to come. But also right now, like, you're doing a good job in the midst of you still on the and enjoy the journey, you know, even though we want to get to the destination, but the blessing is in the journey, definitely.
Yes. Yes, it really is, because you can't get those moments back. And sometimes, like in the midst of learning something new, I'm like, oh, this is like difficult. But you know, once I learn it, I'm like, I like when I don't know. I like being, you know, challenged on something new, and I'd rather be challenged than be comfortable. I've learned to get to that point of living that I don't want to be comfortable
At all.
Not one bit.
I think we had enough of that at this point.
Yes.
I think we did. I think we had enough of being comfortable and playing it safe. I think we're ready to kind of get our hands dirty at this point.
Right, because you can't be afraid of, we all want the best. So
right.
You can't be afraid of actually admitting it and going for it, because nobody likes being disappointed. So
right.
you start admitting, oh, I want the best in life and love and family and this and all these different things, and then you feel like you don't get it. Just that, I think that fear of the disappointment more than anything is what really stops people from going and achieving their best, that they're afraid of the result. But God will give you more than what you ask for. There's no failing there. It may not be what you thought it was going to be, and if it is what you thought, great. And if it's not, it's going to be better. So you just can't lose that way. And just knowing where you are right now is good for you right now, but it's not for you to stay in right now. Oh, that just made me think of something that you said the other day when we were talking. And I think you said T.D. Jakes said it about, and I don't want to mess it up, that where you are right now, how you got to where you are right now is not going to be how you get where you're going. Do I have that right?
Yep. That was that was absolutely right. Yep. That's exactly what he said.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I think that was great that he said that, because I think this year everybody can kind of agree that you've been stretched, but no matter what circumstances it was, because we don't all have to go through the same things in order to receive the same things, because we're all different. You know, how I need strength May not be the same techniques he uses in order for you to get strength, but the same goal was for us to still get strength out of the situation. So this year I can say, like, you probably lost some things, probably had to walk away from some things, probably lost some people probably lost, no, let me change that. People lost you. You had to let people go. You know, you probably had to stretch beyond capacity. You probably were broken, which is a good thing, because in order to be rebuilt, in order to let some bad habits and tendencies go, sometimes you need to be broke so you can be reprogrammed. So this year I can say a lot of that has taken place, but a lot of that had to take place for next year, because next year we will be living out and fulfilling the deposits that were made in 2018. 2018, the seeds were planted. 2019, we will be reaping the harvest. So it's very detrimental for us to get in place, you know, and to be emotionally and spiritually in tune so that way we don't miss it, because it's definitely happening. We're definitely about to see why we had to go through everything we went through.